I think when it gets to February, it's time to start sowing peas. Because peas are really cold hardy. Pretty much all varieties will do perfectly well in cold temperatures. But they're also not so keen on hot temperatures. So you're better off starting those quite early in the year to get a good harvest. Because as it gets too hot through midsummer, then they'll start suffering with things like mildew. So when I grow peas, what I tend to do is start them now to get early harvests. And then I can do another batch late summer to harvest during autumn. So you can still get quite a lot of peas, providing you do them at the right time of year. So if you sow your peas now, they'll be ready for planting out mid-March, which is perfect. And there's loads and loads of different varieties of peas that you can get. We tend to do the same one every year, but this year we're doing something different because that's what we like to do on this channel. Normally I would sow alderman peas, which is the ones that grow to quite tall plants, 5 foot or more, and you wait until they produce nice fat pods of peas. But you've got to wait quite a long time for that to happen. And what I found over years is you have to have a lot of pea plants to get enough peas to pop in your freezer, because that's what we do. We shell them, we blanch them, and then we freeze them to be used later. But you only usually get 2 or 3 bags of peas through the whole season. And if that's enough for you, then that's great. But I like to grow as much as possible so I can harvest and then freeze things to be used later in the year or through winter. So this year we're changing to something different, and we're going to be growing Mangetout, which is a French heirloom variety of pea. But the great thing about these peas, otherwise known as sugar pod, is that you don't wait for the peas to form. You don't wait for those pods to swell. You eat them when they're quite young, while the pods are still thin. And you can still see these little baby peas inside the pods. But the whole idea behind it is once they get to a certain size, as small as 3 inches, after only a couple of months of growing, you harvest them then, because you can eat the whole pod. Because not only is the pod itself very tender, it's also really sweet. So you can get quite a big harvest of flat pea pods off just one plant. So there's no shelling and messing about like that. All you need to do is just pick them, bag them, and they're done. So you'll be able to get a lot more out of it that way. Rather than having a little bowl of peas, you can have a big bag of flat pea pods, and that's why we're doing it. But we are still doing some traditional peas, aldermans, but this year we're just going to do those for pea shoots. And as main crop of peas for this year is going to be those. I'll show you what the peas actually look like. There's some that I've been soaking overnight in a bit of water just to rehydrate them a little bit. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but it's just something I do. Because hopefully it will encourage those seeds to germinate that little bit quicker. That's how they look when they're not soaked in water. They're just slightly smaller. That's what I'm going to be doing today, getting these peas started. And what we'll do is we'll do a set of these peas, get them growing, and then next week or the week after I'll do some more, and we'll stagger those sowings like we always do. So we'll end up with lots and lots of pea plants that's now going to provide us with lots and lots of very sweet tender pea pods. And all we need to do is decide what to sow them in. And you don't need anything special. Something like that will do. It depends how many plants that you want. But something like that, you could put a couple of peas in each cell. So that'd be giving you 24 plants in a very small space. Another way of doing it is to get an old piece of guttering and drill holes all the way across the bottom. And then you fill that with compost. And then you just sow your peas into that. And then they'll grow, and when they get to a few inches high, you can then take that entire piece of guttering and slide the whole thing out into a pre-dug trench in your garden. So you're planting all your peas in one go. It's not something I've ever done, but I've seen lots of people do it and it works really well. And it's also very quick to sow your entire crop of peas, and that's why it's done like that. But I tend to just grow them in cells and I individually plant them out where I want them. And Mangetout plants can grow to 5 feet tall, so obviously you're going to need some kind of a structure to support them as they grow. So ideally, a few canes and some string will do that job for you. But first, you need to get them growing. So for today, I'm just going to do 2 packs in these 12 cells. So that's going to give me 48 plants. We're going to put 2 peas in each cell, so we can double up on production from those plants in a small area, which is what we tend to do a lot of. So I'll just get these filled and then we'll sow these seeds. And again, I've sieved this compost to get rid of any large stones. And we'll make a nice base for these plants as well, just by firming them down and then topping them back off. And that's pretty much all you need to do for that part. So planting peas is about as simple as it gets. We just put a couple of peas in each cell. If you see any bad ones, then just discard those. They probably won't work if they don't look very good or they split. You can put up to 3 seeds in a cell if you want to, but since it's quite early in season and we don't know how weather's going to turn, I'm just going to stick with 2 for the moment. And hopefully we'll get some quick germination from these. Plus obviously if you put 2 or 3 peas in a cell, you've got more chance of getting something rather than nothing. I'm going to put 3 in that one because that one was quite small. So if all these germinated, potentially quite a lot of pea plants to start us off early in the year. Then all we need to do with those is push them down. About 1 centimetre deep is perfect. I usually go to that part of my fingernail, which I find is deep enough. Obviously they're quite a big seed, so they'll have no problems finding their way out. But we need to make sure they're properly covered. And then I'm just going to run back over the top with some more compost. And then we know we've buried them all. It's as simple as that. And then we just want to water them in and get these peas on the way. All done. So a pretty quick and simple job, and we've got 24 plugs of peas ready to germinate with 2 peas in each, and hopefully they're all going to germinate. So that's given us 48 individual plants. And these can just stay in greenhouse to germinate because they don't mind germinating cool temperatures. But if you do want to speed it up a little bit, you can take them indoors. One thing you do need to remember about peas is that they're a favourite for mice. So if you leave these uncovered while waiting to germinate, there's a good chance that mice are going to find them and they'll dig those peas up and eat them. And then you're going to have to start all over again. So you might want to cover them up until they germinate. So something as simple as that placed over the top is going to stop those mice getting in there. And this one's got holes in the bottom as well, so there's also a little bit of airflow available. So now we'll just pop those to one side and wait for them to germinate. So depending on what you want to do this year, whether you want to stick to the traditional peas like Allotment that you grow for peas in pods that you need to shell once they're ready, or this year maybe you'll swerve towards something like Mangetout where it takes less time to grow and you harvest and eat the old pod. So for my money, you're getting a little bit more out of it than you do with the shelling varieties. But as always, I'll leave that decision up to you. And if you want to see what else we're growing over the next few weeks, please hit that subscribe button and press that notifications bell. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.